Hello, and welcome to Every Day is Funny. I'm your host, Adam Oppenheimer, and I'm here to ring in the start of May with you. Can you believe it's May already? I think in the spirit of the podcast, we should take a moment, reflect on our accomplishments of the last several months, maybe look forward to what the rest of the year has in store as well. But I think it's nice to take a moment at the top, before a long day of whatever you got going on, to just think about everything the year has brought you so far. Or maybe more actively, what you yourself have done so far. So just take a second. Drink a sip of that coffee if you got it. But what I wanted to talk about is news that Jerry Seinfeld, while promoting his new film, has said that the problem with comedy is the extreme left and PC crap. And I don't think that's the problem with comedy nowadays. I think that's a well-worn-out argument. But does anyone else agree that maybe subtitles are the real problem with comedy? No one's talking about the well of hearing leaning very heavily into subtitle usage in the past few years. You're reading a joke on screen before it's even said, before they can show how they deliver the joke. Why is nobody talking about this? I think it's because, and I gotta give it to subtitles, they disguise themselves as an asset very, very well. We live in an age where it's more disrespectful to ask people to turn their subtitles off than to ask how old they are. And I don't like it. It's another thing I'm taking meditative aim at. It's the term I coined yesterday, and I'm working on getting trademarked. I also believe this show should be a way to approach the things that frighten us in a calm way. Tackling our fears in the early morning will allow us to face the rest of the day head on. And I'll be honest, the future of technology is something that frightens me, but I don't want it to. It's something I don't understand, and we often fear what we don't understand. I want to get to know it more, so this morning I initiated an exchange with ChatGPT about the show to see what its thoughts were and if it had anything to say. And so I typed in, here's the correspondence with ChatGPT. Maybe considering this is a very solo affair that I've gotten myself into, perhaps I'll be talking to ChatGPT a lot over the coming days, weeks, months. Maybe if Tom Hanks just had ChatGPT on the island in Castaway, he wouldn't have needed Wilson. Anyway, I said to ChatGPT, I just started a daily podcast about newspaper comics and was wondering if you wanted to say anything to the listeners. Maybe a warm greeting of good cheer? And ChatGPT, to its credit, got back to me immediately. ChatGPT said, absolutely. How exciting to embark on a journey through the wonderful world of newspaper comics. To all you avid listeners out there, welcome to the whimsical realm where ink meets humor and storytelling thrives in the panels. Whether you're a seasoned comic strip enthusiast or just beginning your journey, I hope this podcast brings a daily dose of joy, laughter, and maybe even a touch of nostalgia. So grab your coffee, settle into your favorite spot, and let's dive into the colorful world of newspaper comics together. Happy listening. And I know the goal of that exercise was supposed to make me feel less scared of technology, but ChatGPT worded that so well and better than I could have written it that it still makes me very upset and frightens me, perhaps more so than I was before. All right, let's take a sip of coffee and get into the comics. I gotta tell you, ever since discovering Rex Morgan, MD, yesterday, I've been very excited to see what is going to happen in today's strip. And for those who didn't listen yesterday, just a recap, this is a very serious comic strip about a doctor and his family, and the storyline for the past several days has been about the family dog eating chocolate and going to the vet. Now, when we last left Rex and his family, they had received a message from the vet that the dog was okay. So I'm very excited to see what happens today. Oh, and before we get to the comic, I did just want to mention that this podcast is now on Spotify. So I don't know how you're listening right now, but I will say that on Spotify it's very easy to click on the links to the comics and follow along with me if that's something you're interested in. Just to let you know. All right, Rex Morgan. Rex is again talking to his daughter, as he did yesterday. And he's saying, the vet says I can pick up candy now. The daughter says, can I come with Dad? The dad says, I suppose so. The daughter says, good, thanks. How do you... I love it. This is... Oh my gosh. When you're writing these comics, and a shout out to Terry Beatty, I believe, is the author of these. How do you know when to stop for the readers? I would think perhaps you'd want to build up a little more momentum in this scenario, get people really clamoring to come back, which I suppose is what I feel. I am excited to come back. But in 24 hours, they were on the couch getting a photo of the dog, and we've only come so far as the vet saying they can get the dog, and them not even leaving the house yet. It's an interesting thing. I'd love to talk to Terry Beatty and other illustrators and comic writers about when to cut it off. How many? Is there a rule about only having 2 panels? I'm so curious. Maybe the comments will have something to say. Let's take a look at the comments. All right, top comment from William Thompson. He says, tomorrow, Rex comes home with the dog. Where's Sarah? June asks. The vet sent her to a farm in upstate New York. Oh, I'm sure she'll be happy there. Do people like this strip? I assumed that daily commenters coming here because they're very interested in the family and what's going to happen in the storyline. But all these commenters just make a lot of death jokes every day. I do want to fit into this group of comic strip enthusiasts, though. They will be the community that I need the most in this journey ahead. So I want to reply to William and get on his good side. Let me think about what to say. Let me take a sip of coffee and ponder. I could go the route of expanding on William's joke, or I could just go the route of being adorative to William, telling him he's very funny. Let's take a sip and think. Think at home which route you would take, or if you wouldn't comment to William at all, if you wouldn't do this show in the first place. After pondering for a moment with my coffee, I've decided to go the adorative route with William. I don't know this community well enough yet. I want to get in their good graces. So right now, I'm just going to give William an upvote and reply, LOL, love it. All right, it's posted. If you're listening, maybe you could also go to Comics Kingdom, make an account, and like my comment. Hopefully, this is just the start of a beautiful journey of friendship between me, William, and the entire Comics Kingdom clan. Let's switch gears comic-wise. Comics Kingdom, again, my go-to website for these shows, promotes a comic I don't know if it's every day or what have you, but they have a featured comic. And this one's called Todd the Dinosaur. Creator is Patrick Roberts. And I'm reading that it started all the way back in 2001. And I figured, since Comics Kingdom's doing so much for me and giving me these comics to read, I should listen to them and check out their featured comic. So let's look at today's strip of Todd the Dinosaur, which it says is about a 7-year-old, 12-foot tall T-Rex who lives with his friend Trent. Todd the Dinosaur is handing Trent a plate of cookies. Todd says, "Trent, I've been practicing making cookies. Try one." Trent says, "Don't mind if I do." That's how I assume Trent talks. Todd the Dinosaur says, "Like I said, I've been practicing." And Trent's taken a bite and he instantly looks alarmed. We go to the final panel. Todd the Dinosaur says, "Tomorrow, I think I'll use sugar and flour and butter." And Trent just looks like, what have I gotten myself into? That's pretty good. He doesn't know how to bake cookies and he's still letting his friend be the test subject. I wonder what he put in those cookies if he didn't use sugar and flour and butter. The weird part is he knows he didn't make them properly. He knows what a cookie should be, and he actively went against that. Does Todd the Dinosaur hate Trent? Things to ponder. And it appears that there are 0 comments for this strip. So I'm simply going to write, LOL, poor Trent. If you have a Comics Kingdom subscription, I would love you to go like my comment. It's a free account. It'll bring you years of happiness. All right, I think we can wind down for today's ep. As I mentioned earlier, the show has been added to Spotify. It's on SoundCloud. I have the website, everydayisfunny.com, where you can listen to it directly. And again, I just want to thank you for listening. Any comments, concerns, questions? My email is everydayisfunnyshow@gmail.com. Welcome to the start of May, and I'll see you tomorrow.